The Trump administration's plan to impose tariffs on Canadian-made prescription drugs could have dangerous consequences for American patients, disrupting fragile supply chains and leading to increased drug shortages. While the move may be framed as an economic or political strategy, the reality is that patients, particularly those who rely on life-saving medications, are the ones who will suffer the most. Experts warn that the impact of these tariffs could be severe, not only in terms of cost, but also in the availability of critical drugs that many Americans depend on daily. The U.S. pharmaceutical market is already experiencing significant supply chain vulnerabilities. Drug shortages have been on the rise for years, and the COVID-19 pandemic further exposed how delicate the system is. Even minor disruptions can create ripple effects, leading to medication scarcities that put patients at risk. Introducing tariffs on Canadian-made drugs would only exacerbate an already precarious situation, making it harder for patients to access essential medications such as bupropion for depression, ibalizumab for HIV, and sotalol for heart conditions. These are not luxury items. They are necessities that keep people alive and functioning. The financial impact of these tariffs is also alarming. A 25% tariff on the estimated $3 billion worth of pharmaceuticals exported from Canada to the U.S. each year would add approximately $750 million in costs. While pharmaceutical companies might absorb some of this increase, much of it is expected to trickle down to pharmacies and, ultimately, consumers. Patients who already struggle to afford their medications could find themselves paying significantly higher prices, or worse, being unable to afford them at all. This could lead to an increase in untreated medical conditions, hospitalizations, and even preventable deaths. The Trump administration's decision is particularly reckless because it fails to account for the complexities of drug manufacturing. While Canadian-made pharmaceuticals make up a small portion of the overall U.S. drug supply, less than 2%, the industry operates on a global scale. Many medications are produced using raw materials and active ingredients sourced from multiple countries, meaning that any disruption to one part of the chain can have far-reaching effects. If tariffs lead manufacturers to cut production or shift distribution patterns, the consequences could be widespread, affecting not just the U.S. and Canada, but also other countries that rely on similar supply chains. Experts warn that the impact could be felt within weeks. Pharmacies could start experiencing shortages, forcing patients to switch to alternative medications that may not work as well or cause unwanted side effects. Some drugs, particularly those used in hospital settings, could become scarce, putting healthcare providers in difficult positions where they must ration medications or delay treatments. Given how long it takes to establish new pharmaceutical production facilities, sometimes years, the U.S. would not be able to quickly replace Canadian-made drugs with domestic alternatives. Canada, too, would not be immune from the consequences of these tariffs. While the initial burden would fall on American consumers, disruptions to global supply chains do not respect borders. If U.S. tariffs lead to retaliatory measures or force pharmaceutical companies to adjust their manufacturing and distribution strategies, Canadians could also face shortages, particularly of hospital-administered drugs and medications for rare conditions. The broader concern is that as the U.S. extends tariffs to other trading partners like Europe, China, and India, the global pharmaceutical industry could be thrown into further disarray, worsening drug accessibility for millions. The decision to impose tariffs on essential medications is not only economically short-sighted, but also morally indefensible. Prescription drugs are not ordinary consumer goods. They are vital to people's health and survival. The Trump administration's plan prioritizes political maneuvering over public health, placing patients in the crosshairs of a misguided trade war. In an era where drug shortages are already a growing problem, the last thing the U.S. healthcare system needs is additional barriers to access. Rather than imposing reckless tariffs that threaten lives, policymakers should be working to strengthen pharmaceutical supply chains and ensure that patients can get the medications they need without unnecessary financial or logistical obstacles.